It is Wednesday, my dudes, and of course you know what that means. It is time once again to revisit Velocity Lake, the theme park building series in which I construct a theme park called Velocity Lake in the video game Planet Coaster and then upload a weekly series to YouTube, the construction of that, and then I put a commentary over it. And how was that for a nostalgic intro? Yes, people have been saying that they miss the whole "It is Wednesday, my dudes" intro to these videos, and you know, I said a few episodes ago, a long time ago now, my goodness, how time flies, eh? Is it just me? Or is time in 2020 both very, very slow and also very, very fast? But it feels like just yesterday when I said this, that I wanted to drop the whole "It is Wednesday, my dudes" intro because, you know, it's been memed, it's been done, it's been overdone at this point, and it's not even like I didn't come up with that. It's just a meme, and I was like, "Hey, I've got a weekly series. I can milk you." So, and I feel like the meme has been done. It's all done. I want to just move away from it and make it my own thing because I feel like newcomers to this channel who just see my Planet Coaster videos in their recommendations, which is probably like 5 people if my view count is anything to go by. But regardless, people might see this like, oh, this looks interesting. Let's check it out. And it's the intro to the video is just "It is Wednesday, my dudes" meme video. I'm like, they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna head out. So I like how I combated it with another meme, but you know what I mean. This commentary is going from strength to strength to strength to strength, isn't it? I mean, I've talked about how I'm alienating new viewers with the whole "It is Wednesday, my dudes" intro, but now, like, what have I been talking about for the last, almost 2 minutes? Nothing. I've talked about literally nothing other than the downfalls of the previous episodes of this series. And I mean, this is it, guys. This is my average viewer retention time, 2 to 3 minutes. So I've now sullied any chance of getting new viewers to watch this series. So I guess now would be a good time to talk about what's actually going to be happening in this episode, because I realized I haven't. But it's going to be mostly continuing the construction of the perimeter wall of the theme park. And if the previous 2 minutes weren't anything to dissuade people from watching, that statement sure is, because watching the construction of fences for 20 minutes is probably not the most engaging video to watch, but it has to be done, guys. It's a chore that needed doing. I had to say, right, at some point we're going to need to do a perimeter fence for this park in order to, stop guests from wandering out and also to stop, criminals from wandering in and harassing people and riding on my rides for free. Cannot have those freebooters in this park. So it's just a bit of a chore. We're going to stick together, guys. Pour yourself a nice glass of whiskey or tea if that's more your thing. And we're going to get through it, guys. So we may, to start with, it's now finished, but I'm going to now retroactively talk about all the stuff I didn't talk about at the time, and that was, of course, the little thing I've got in the back of the park. Great description. I have a service road that runs around the perimeter of this park, as is the case with most theme parks, to not only facilitate quick access for staff to any region of Velocity Lake, but also for things like, paramedics, firefighters that need to get to regions quickly and in a, vehicle. It's good to have a road that goes around the park with good access. And that's what I did. And to kind of add to the layer of realism for Velocity Lake, I added a little, the backlot tour is Studios Tour. I have no idea what the in-game name is. I think it's like Studios Tour or something like that. I did one of those just on a continuous test run to go along that road just to make it look like, yeah, it's used by staff and things like that. But the one downside when it came to constructing a perimeter fence is that, that car is going to need to pass through that fence. So I added that little automated gate just there that would open on a trigger sequence to allow the little car to go through, and then it would close the gate behind it and, maintain the perimeter fence. And I think that's one of the learning experiences, I think, with Velocity Lake. Not, constructing that gate, but just the act of having the road that runs around the park. I've never managed to elegantly do it in Planet Coaster ever. Like, this is the first time I've ever managed to get a road that circumnavigates the park in a realistic way. And, it's not really that realistic, is it? Like, it's so lumpy and bumpy. I mean, part of that's not my fault, guys. Part of it is the path tool and the terrain. They don't get on so well. Like, it's very difficult to get, smooth paths that follow terrain gently, things like that. So I am, to an extent, working with the card I've been dealt, but there are better ways of doing it. I mean, just look at, like, Bro Nation as the extreme example. No Name Landia. That is as close as I think we're ever going to get to a realistic theme park in this game's lifetime. And, Velocity Lake, whilst I attempted to make it realistic, it ain't no Name Landia, I'll give them that. But, you know, they managed to get a really realistic network of service roads that go around the whole park and can access pretty much any region instantly. Velocity Lake ain't that, but, you know, we've at least got a road. It's just a very unrealistic road in terms of the number of undulations and roughness of its surface. And you guys haven't even seen the extremes of it. Like, the road we've got at the moment is just, you know, the road. But we need to have, like, junctions that connect it to various areas of the park. And those junctions often have branching roads that need to descend terrain very quickly, and there's ramps that aren't smooth, and it's not something I'm very proud of. I'm glad that they're there because it does make the theme park realistic, and it's probably not as bad as I think it is, but it still looks a bit naff. So if I were to make I have no plans to not make another theme park after Velocity Lake. I would probably put a lot more priority on getting the infrastructure done around the park first, rather than in Velocity Lake, where we built the whole park, and then I had to kind of awkwardly, insert all the infrastructure around it. So build the road around the park rather than vice versa. And even like the main road structure, like the Planet Skyline stuff, was all done after the fact, and I had to do it quite awkwardly. That's going to be brought up in this episode actually, because we're going to be doing some work on the A road, the highway that's on the west of the park. So that we're going to talk about that as we get to it, because there are things I want to talk about with that. But, you know, just things like that. Mainly the service road. If I were to do another park from scratch, and again, like I say, I probably will, I'll probably build the service road first, so I've got a clear definition of where the park begins and ends. And then the road, we can make sure that's realistic, and then we can kind of shape the terrain around the road rather than the other way around. We build the terrain and then build the road over it, which is what you do in real life, granted. But in Planet Coaster, yeah, you build roads out of paths generally, and the paths they don't follow the terrain very well. Like, they will literally, it's basically like just recoloring the terrain. Like, every single like nook and cranny in the hill and the terrain that you build will be shown in the paths. It is not very realistic. Like, paths, you would smooth it out in spite of the terrain that it sits on. Not the case in Planet Coaster. So I think that's just a mistake I made. It's a learning experience. We're going to move away. We're going to move on from it. That's just one of the things about Velocity Lake I don't like. Now, speaking of things I do like how the perimeter fence came out, which I am aware has been, the construction of that has been happening all of this time, but I feel like not much has really happened. Like, it's a fairly repetitive process. Like I said, years ago at this point, it feels like it's a fairly monotonous task. It's not something I really wanted to do, and it's not something I was that excited about showing as an episode. But I wanted this series to be a comprehensive, no cuts anywhere. Like, this is the entirety of the construction of the park from beginning to end. This is just one of those things that needed doing. One way I made things easier for myself is that you can see that... Sorry, I shouted that just then. I'm terribly sorry, guys. One way in which I made this easier for myself was... how can I word this without sounding like an idiot? Story of my life. I built the fence and then placed the curb underneath it, and that was it. That was what I wanted the fence to be. But then I thought, we're going to be going through lots of terrain changes. The fences themselves are square. You know, they're not going to conform to terrain perfectly. So I added that little concrete bit underneath the curbing. And I don't want that to be visible wherever possible, but there are some places where it's not going to be possible to not have it. So I added that to every single piece so that when it came to placing the fence, I can just move the whole chunk around, and the entirety of the fence is there if there are any undulations in the terrain that warrant some extension of the base of the fence. That's why there's that concrete bit there, and why I'm not always making it visible. I didn't want it visible anywhere, but there are places where it will need to be visible, so let's just have it on every single piece. It'll be much easier to, adjust the height for the fences once they're placed. I think that made sense. I'm just talking, and then as I talk, my mind, it drifts. I'm like, you're an idiot. You sound like you're not making any sense right now. But then I have to continue talking whilst I'm going through this sort of crisis moment. And then by the end, I have no idea how the commentary comes across. I hope it comes across well, though. I mean, you guys do leave some really nice comments, and this is not like me being ironic or taking a mick or anything. You guys do make nice comments saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be so self-deprecating. We really like your commentaries and that sort of thing." And that's always, I love getting feedback like that. This is why I love reading the comments. And I always say that I do prefer reading the comment sections of my Planet Coaster videos, just because I can more comprehensively read them all. I physically cannot read all of the comments on my Kerbal Space Program videos because they get so much more, because they get a lot more views. which is not a salty comment, by the way. Like, I don't expect people to watch these videos because most people subscribe for Kerbal Space Program content. They're quite entitled to only watch the Kerbal Space Program content. But, not only do the Kerbal Space Program videos get more views, more comments, but I guess by extension they also get a lot more views. Any popular YouTuber or YouTube series, all the comments, like, I've noticed, I feel like this has only been a recent thing where every single comment is a joke. Like, every single comment is just, last time I was this early, XYZ, or first, or, oh, quick, time to make a funny joke, or more recently has been the whole YouTube. There are 10 comments. Me, can I see them? YouTube, no. Every video, there's like 10 of those, and it's like, I just want some comments so I can see what you guys thought of the video. But like, so it's becoming ever more exasperating to find genuine comments on Kerbal Space Program videos. At least, okay, it's not quite true because there are lots and lots and lots of comments on Kerbal Space Program videos. They're obviously not all jokes, but all the top rated ones are joke comments. And I kind of want to see like more, there used to be a lot more genuine questions or just things people said on the top rated comments. And I was like, well, this is top rated comments and more people want to know the answer to this, so I can answer it and I can reach out to loads of people. So I'm not quite sure what I'm trying to get at here. Before I continue this tangent, I'm going to quickly say that, let's just put a POV in. You guys, we've just passed the 10-minute mark. You guys have done very well. I am clearly losing the power of speech, so you've done very well to make it this far into the video. I'm going to reward you with this little POV of Pulsar, the B&M Giga. Not only because, again, it breaks up the monotony of this video, but you can kind of see all the work we've done so far with that fence running along the majority of this coaster's course, and you kind of see how it looks, running alongside it at real-time rate. You can see it. I think it looks pretty realistic how it conforms to the terrain, the way it does. And, like I say, I really like this roller coaster. I think it came out really, really well. It came out a lot better than I hoped it would be. And, my ultimate goal for this coaster was to have it sort of diving in and out of the forest that doesn't exist yet, but I was going to say it was going to be diving in and out of trees and sort of shrubbery, that sort of thing, and we are going to do that. I don't think it's going to be this episode, but it's going to be very, very soon that we add the forest that this coaster dives in and out of, because I really liked the idea of guests at ground level within the park looking up at this monster that like dominates the skyline for Velocity Lake, and it's like, where does it go? It like dives into the trees and we don't see it for a few seconds, then it emerges. What's happening as it descends like that? And it adds that layer of mystery to what is a huge ride. It's going to be a big selling point, a big drawing factor to the park, and that's just one of a few plans that's in store for not only that roller coaster but the theme park as a whole. And speaking of the theme park as a whole, there is a nice view. Things are coming together, we're not far away from completion. The one thing that needs doing is this little area of grass, this grassy area, I should say, that's at the back of Vertigo, that yellow coaster, and I guess a little bit of Red Devil as well, the red coaster, as the name would suggest. There's that area of grassy land there that needs to be filled in, so we need to address that at some point, and we will. Fear not, we will address it, and I guess now we should stop procrastinating and go back to doing the fence. There's no two ways around it, guys. Fencing is not especially perimeter fencing. It is a fairly tedious process, and I'm going to make you guys suffer like I suffered. Like I said, I want this series to be comprehensive, and I don't want to skip over anything, and so I'm going to show you guys the construction of every single facet of this park, including the fencing. I'm doing a little follow-along camera here to just marvel at what I'm doing, see if anything needs sort of fine-tuning or adjusting or anything like that. And it didn't. So, all that being said, I have opened... Nope, never mind. I just saw I opened the edit building window, but luckily I didn't do anything, so my statement remains true. And I think that's pretty much the entirety of the perimeter fence done. We did it, guys. It only took just over 13 minutes. Well, closer to 14 minutes, actually. But you know what I mean? It was only just shy of a quarter of an hour. We did it, and now you guys have been able to witness the construction of the Great Wall of Velocity Lake. And now, for the rest of this video, we're going to be focusing a bit on the road infrastructure. Just doing a couple of real-time shots just there. Now, you guys, I'm already going to address the elephant in the room. You guys pointed out that I did a bad job with this road because of the way the slip roads work on this intersection. The way they join the road would imply that both sides of the highway move in the same direction. I've effectively constructed the world's biggest one-way street this slip lane, like on the right hand side, needs to be going the other way, like north relative to the map, and it isn't. So I guess we've kind of got a little exit that I could make use of, but I don't. Don't worry, I do actually go back and just delete all of this and make it work properly. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that you can close the video now because nothing of consequence happens, but I still think it's nice to show kind of my stupidity. Like, wow, he's really committing to this, like, completely broken road network. How at no point did I just sit back and say, hang on, Matthew, I think we may have messed up here. But I didn't. I mean, the excuse I made when I actually brought this up, like 10 episodes ago, probably by this point, I said, yeah, maybe I was looking at like reference images. Like I used one reference image for one side of the road and then one reference image for the other side of the road. And like one was from England, one was from the US or something. So we drive on different sides. So that's where the conflict happened. But honestly, I think I was just having a bit of a brain fart moment. I wasn't thinking. I didn't think, guys. I didn't plan it out. And is there a moral to this story? Probably. If you want to build a road network, you should plan it. Something Plymouth City Council should have done when they built the traffic light near my house. Okay, this is now a very personal anecdote that doesn't relate to anyone, so we don't need to go into this. But, you know, do you first feel like sometimes you'll be driving to work or school or wherever you guys drive, and you feel like, what were they thinking when they made this road? Like, it's clear that this should have been done this way. And there's a big junction near my house, and it should have been a roundabout. It's a big junction where every single arm of the junction receives fairly equal levels of traffic. There's no reason it shouldn't be a roundabout. And there's just little things like that. Like, do you guys feel this as well? It was like, it seems so obvious, like what the solution is, but they didn't do it. They chose this really odd way of doing it. Maybe I should like apply for a job at my council as a common sense consultant and be like, oh yeah, we should, but that's another thing they're doing. They're building this big statue on Plymouth waterfront. For those that don't know, Plymouth, UK, not Massachusetts. Is it Massachusetts? I think it's Massachusetts. Plymouth, UK is a port, so it's on the sea. And there's a few things that the city could do with. Like, there are lots of potholes in the roads. The general city centre is very tired. The buildings need a good clean. They need a good paint. They're looking very dirty and, run down, things like that. It doesn't help the fact that they're all pretty new buildings as well, like 50s and 60s brutalist concrete monstrosities, because Plymouth is a naval port. So as you can imagine, in World War II, the whole city was pretty much flattened. So a lot of the city was built very quickly in the 50s and 60s. So a lot of it looks pretty naff. So there's lots of things the council could do, but instead they're spending an undisclosed amount of taxpayer, I am included, I pay council tax, taxpayers' money on a little statue that sits on the waterfront. And it looks awful. It's like one of these rubbish modern art statues. It's basically a bunch of cubes that vaguely resembles like a person, like a humanoid shape. But it looks terrible. I'm like, guys, you could have done so. First of all, it ruins the pier. There's a nice little pier you can walk along, but now you can't. There's a big statue in the way. And it's like, I just cleaned the buildings. They're covered in dirt and grit because no one's maintained them for 50 years. So that would be one of the things I would instigate as a common sense consultant for Plymouth City Council. I would probably also extend my house. I would probably add another 3 stories to my house. That needs doing. It's in public interest. I am providing a public service with Planet Coaster videos, weekly Planet Coaster videos, and weekly Kerbal Space Program videos and Space News videos, and on the non-zero chance that I've started a new series at this point, those videos too. Although I almost certainly won't start a new series because I'm struggling with my current upload rate as it is. I probably can't increase. I know they mean well when people say, "Oh, why don't you just upload 2 Kerbal Space Program videos a week or even more?" And I'm like, you do realize how long it takes to make these videos, right? And I do have a full-time job working in the medical field in the middle of a global pandemic. You guys appreciate that, right? It's very difficult for me to increase my upload schedule any more than it already is. But yeah, so I don't know what I was trying to say with that. But yes, I'm providing a weekly public service, so I need the bigger house and all that. What else would I do? I would probably ban caravans. Just ban them, You can travel. No. I will give them this. Caravans and horse boxes, you're allowed to travel on Saturday evenings on the 4th Saturday of the month between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. 4th Saturday of the month in November. That's when they're allowed to travel. I am a benevolent leader. I think you'll agree. And I think that's very fair. And speaking of roads, we're still working on this road that is rubbish and wrong and shouldn't even be here in the first place. So I admit that, and now I say that out loud, I'm probably talking to myself. Hey guys, if you guys made it this far into the commentary, why not leave a little comment saying this specific thing? And come on, guys, if you get this reference, you are like, you're the MVP. I want you to type tomato farmers represent. Whoa, who remembers that? Who remembers that? That's like an old school Matt Lamroth. Like I think it was my first ever Planet Coaster commentary video. From day one, it was self-deprecating. When I said, like, guys, I feel like, this is probably quite boring for most people that used to Kerbal Space Program. So if you've made it this far, I was like, type into the comments, tomato farmers represent. And loads of people did. And I was like, really flattered. Like, wow, people were sticking around and watching this series. Maybe my viewer retention analytics are a bit off. So there you go. You can write in the comments, tomato farmers represent, to, send a reprisal. I don't know if that's the right word for people that like watch this channel. Like, oh, I recognize that comment. And also just to like, I don't know. I'll give it a heart if you like, if I read it within, like, if you post that comment within like, the first day of this being uploaded, I'll try and heart it if I can. I'll read the comments. If I don't heart you, it's because I missed the comment. Any comment that I don't heart that's tomato farmers represent is because I missed it. I'm very sorry, but I while I try and read all the Planet Coaster comments, I don't always get them all. And yes, with that, what are we doing now? We're doing some. Oh, this annoyed me. This annoyed me. I didn't get that little exit road lined up with the exit road of the car park. I guess it didn't matter ultimately because that exit road is broken, but we can still, I say that, but now I think about it, that road that goes underneath the highway A road thing is still valid. Like, that can work. We can just turn it to, we can make it so it turns the other way rather than to the left. So that can still work, but it kind of annoyed me that it didn't line up too well with the rest of the car park, so I had to put diagonal arrows. Ugh! Can you believe it? I had to put diagonal arrows to guide the cars to the road. So that was a kind of a thing that annoyed me. But to be honest, guys, I really don't like doing this sort of stuff in Planet Coaster, like the infrastructure. I find it really tedious because it is. Like, it takes a lot to do anything in Planet Coaster, and when it's stuff like roads, which aren't really that interesting to me, I mean, controversial opinion of the decade, I don't find roads that interesting. It ends up being quite a monotonous process, which is probably how I was able to miss the glaring mistake I made with the highway for so long, because of like, it's a road, it's fine, just build it and we'll move on and build some more theme park rides in this theme park ride building simulator. And, well, that's a good a note as any to leave this video on, I think. We've pretty much done all the stuff I wanted to cover this episode. Thank you guys for watching so much. There is a little overview of the park to reward you for your perseverance, for your determination to stick with this video to the very end. And the very end be where we are now. On screen, there are links to things. The left-hand side is a link to the full Velocity Lake playlist. The right-hand side is a video chosen for you by YouTube's recommendation algorithms based on your viewing habits. The description contains links to other things as well. And that's it. Goodbye.